From about 2004 to 2019, approximately 20 million people a year moved into Chinese cities from the countryside. This led to one of the world's greatest building booms, but potentially also led to one of the greatest busts. For many years, we were skeptical of the widespread view that China was building too many apartments because, in fact, they were required. However, like all good booms, things eventually got out of hand, just when the point when that migration started to slow. This was most noticeable in Chinese developer balance sheets. We prefer to use financial leverage as a means of balance sheet strength. More traditional metrics such as debt to equity are too easily manipulated at times like these. Country Garden, one of China's more respected developers, between 2008 and 2015, its leverage rose from a modest 2 times to 5 times. Not disastrous, but beginning to show the signs of being unhealthy. Country Garden's leverage exploded from 5 times to 12 times by 2017. And the slightest slowdown in the industry, and that was game over for them. And we suspect the next great migration is upon us, and that's coming in India. Urbanisation there at the moment is around 35%, about where China was at the turn of the century. And the only question to us is how quickly that moves to where China is today. The demand for urban housing in India is coming. Whether it reaches 20 million a year, we won't know, which is the equivalent of about 5 million households. But in recent years, Indian developers have struggled to make 500,000 apartments in the top cities. So the potential to grow that dramatically is enormous. DLF Limited is one of India's largest developers and the largest in New Delhi. It's also one of the longest listed companies and one of the few survivors from the last boom and bust in India back in 2007. At that time, its leverage peaked at a rather scary 7 times, but they soon saw the light and mindsets changed dramatically and they managed to save themselves. Today, that leverage is around 2 times, a very modest level, and in common with much of Indian developers and indeed the broader Indian corporate sector. The Indian property sector is in rude health and now well into its upturn. The stocks themselves have had a good run recently, but when you consider the potential for India as it urbanises over the next 20 years, the stage, the cycle we're in at the moment, and the rude health that these companies are in, we think it's one of the most exciting opportunities out there at the moment. Thank you.